Badgers by 1 billion? That's probably what Rajiv is going to pick. I'm going to tell you our official game predictions today. What are yours? Plus underrated players. Massive weekend coming up. Badgers, Bama.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. We got a game tomorrow. We're doing live official Alabama-Wisconsin picks, plus get a little into what could go right, what could go wrong, and a few underrated players that can make a big impact in tomorrow's game. Let's start with official predictions, Rajiv. We've talked about this on your show, on my show. We talked about this in text messages and phone calls. Has your official prediction changed as the week has gone on?
You know, it definitely has. And do you know why? Because I am a hopeful Badger fan who just can't get enough of trying to be optimistic, because all I can do is dream about what happens if we win this game. Dream about all the great tweets I'm going to read about, all the great content I'm going to consume and read articles and listen to players talk. Like I'm going to be on cloud nine. So the dream of that is pulling me into slowly moving my my prediction over. It was 38-13 earlier in the week. And the reason for that was because Ryan Williams is going to play, or at least that's what we're hearing. And our offensive line, we still don't know about. Maybe Renfro will play. Hopefully, we're kind of hearing that maybe he will, but who knows? So, I mean, I just felt like we're not going to be able to move the ball much on them. However, you have shown me some PFF grades that I dug into it more myself of Alabama's offensive linemen. This isn't Saban's Alabama, and that's just a fact. Like it is. Justin has been saying this all week. You look at their last, 10, 12 games, like they don't have the greatest record. It's not like amazing. They're gettable. And I do want to believe I am sucked in, man. So I'm going to go really out on a limb here and say 31-23, but I recognize that's extremely hopeful. I still think we lose, but I mean, I just want to be competitive, Ryan. I just want this to be a game where we can get excited about, and it can be a launch pad for us to really be excited about the Big Ten season, which starts next week. And if we have a crushing defeat, that's going to be very difficult to do.
It was suck, dude. If we get boat raced in Bama, like after we've kind of talked ourselves into this a little bit, like talked ourselves into this being closer, if we get boat raced in Bama, it's just going to be such a gut punch, man. What's your game script for 31-23? Is that 31-23? Badgers have the ball in the fourth quarter. They could drive to tie this up, or is it 31-23? Badgers score a touchdown with like a minute left to get to that point. Like, is this like a game where the Badgers could win in your version of 31-23?
I mean, in my version of it, to be honest, no. I think it's more like we're down by 11 and we get a field goal and, try to get to within one score or something like that. I mean, I've always said, you've heard me say this many times, I'd love to be within one score going into the fourth quarter. When we play the big teams, play teams that are better than us, that's the formula, right? Be within a score, give yourself a chance to where maybe you have the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead at any point in the fourth quarter. That's the dream. I don't necessarily think that happens. And listen, I would love to be wrong, and I feel like that would be great. I need to see it from this offensive line, and I need to see if our cornerbacks and our, secondary can actually manage and deal with those receivers. So it's not really a win or even that close to it.
Okay. One thing I've said, because Justin said this a lot, and a lot of people have, is it's not Saban's Bama. And I think that's fair. I think that's true. The difference is, and this is the one spot I would push back a little bit, and then I'm going to get into my optimism for this, but their fall off is still pretty damn high, right? Like they're not Saban's Bama. They're just DeBoer Bama. DeBoer's Bama beat LSU pretty bad last year. They won 9 games last year. Like we're not in a great spot. They're not in a great spot, but they started a lot higher, right? It's almost like saying, the American economy is maybe a little down and the Bolivian economy is a little down. But that doesn't mean those two economies are in the same spot if they're both a little down, because one of them is a lot more powerful generally. I also was higher. So that out of the way. They just start at a higher spot. So them coming down still means we need to come up to meet them, I guess is my point. I'm also closer, though. I've also kind of talked myself into this being a little closer. And a point I made, and I think this is certainly a part of me wanting to believe this, because I'm a Badger fan, obviously. But I think Wisconsin's rush defense is really good. And this is what Florida State did to them. Florida State was able to stop Alabama from running the ball. Bama averaged 3 yards per carry against Florida State. And if we can do that, Rajiv, if we can do what Florida State did to them, I think our pass rush can beat their pass protection. That's to me how we actually win this game. Not hopes and wishes. And I legitimately think if we can stop their running game, and so far this rush defense at Wisconsin against two mediocre opponents has been great this year. If we can do that, we can win on the edge. And if we can do that, it could be a low-scoring game. And if it's a low-scoring game, anything can happen in Tuscaloosa.
For sure. But let me ask you, in your version of that, like, what's going on in the secondary? Like, I mean, Ryan Williams is going to play. You know, Jeremy Bernard is going to play. Like, they've got some serious receivers that we've got to cover, even if we get that pass rush.
Yeah, you sack them. That's what's going on in the secondary. No, listen, my response to that, because it's a hell of a great question. My response to that is you gotta not let him have time to do that. What's up, John? John joining us from Tuscaloosa tonight. You know what I mean? Because if Ty Simpson can sit back there and have all day to throw, we're not going to cover those receivers. The answer is we need Reiger to win his one-on-ones. We need Cheeks to win his one-on-ones. We need Allegro on blitzes. We need a Tressel masterclass. This needs to be the scene in Searching for Bobby Fischer where he shows up at the park and he checkmates the guy in 3 moves. Like, it needs to be a Tressel incredible game plan, but you got to hit Simpson. You got to move him off his spot. You got to take away his third read, because I think you're dead right. If we don't do that, we're not covering that trio of receivers, because we talked about Bernard. You talked about Ron Williams. Brooks is really good too. That's the freshman or redshirt freshman or redshirt freshman. They love him, dude. So does that answer make sense? Like, that makes sense to me. You just your pass rush has to win.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Do you feel like we're going to bring blitzes to do that? Or do you feel like we can do it with 4 is going to be tough, but I mean, do you think we can do that? Because that, to me, if we're going to have a really good pass rush and also be able to cover the guys on the back end, we hopefully can get, I'm not saying it's got to be 4 every time, but we have to be able to generate some pressure and make him a little uncomfortable with, Reiger and Cheeks on the ends and them being disruptive. That's going to have to happen, I think.
Yeah, I think Tressel's going to try to make that work. I really do. I think he's going to say, I think our defensive ends, our edges can beat your tackles. I don't know if I need to send an extra guy. I do think, because Ty Simpson is not an experienced quarterback when you go back and look at it. I think he's going to play with his eyes a little bit. So, drop somebody and then send somebody else from a different direction. Kind of the standard Jim Leonard type of game plan.
Yeah.
Let's mix up where the pressure is coming from, but not necessarily send 5, 6, 7. I think you'll see that. But I think they're going to be terrified of those receivers getting deep, and they're going to want to keep the safeties kind of in a shell. So I wouldn't expect a ton of blitzes. I would expect some different mixes to different looks, but I would also just expect Mason Reiger. You got to be the best player on the field. If we're going to pull this upset, you have to beat Caden Proctor. That's your one-on-one. And I think he can do it. Yeah. I really do. So, dude, if that's the case, and maybe we're being optimistic, maybe I'm being optimistic. If that's the case, then you can drop 7, right? And then you can mix up your coverages on the back end, because Reiger's winning his one-on-ones. I really think that might be the biggest advantage the Badgers have in this game is their pass rush against 2 powerful, good run blocking, but not really fleet of foot tackles.
Yeah, if you take 6 guys up there and rush 4 of them, doesn't have to be that, it can be 2 different people. You're right. Like, if Allegro and Curtis come in and they stunt around, and then all of a sudden you drop some of the end guys into coverage or whatever, like into some shallow zones. Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. And I would love to see their offensive line just be a bit porous tomorrow, and for us to find ways to get in there and just make him uncomfortable. Because what we saw in the Florida State game, Simpson was uncomfortable. That team was uncomfortable. They were out of it from jump. They never looked like they were in that game, no matter what happened. And that's because Simpson looked very uncomfortable and they just couldn't run the ball, as you mentioned. So if that defensive line can come up big, then yeah, I mean, anything can happen, man.
This will also be interesting because I think we're going to learn a lot of truths about this team. Whether certainly, to your point, to a lot of people's points, Bama's not elite. Bama's still good. Bama's still a really good program. You're still going to go down to Tuscaloosa. We're going to see how good this defense actually is to some degree. Mm-hmm. Can they stop Jam Miller? Jam Miller's a really good running back. I think he's playing, from what I've been told, for Alabama. We think this defense is a lot better against the run. Well, we're going to find out, right? Bama's going to try to run the ball. If Bama gashes us on the ground, this game's not going to be close. I'll say that. The run defense has to win on the early downs. Otherwise, Ty Simpson's really good on play action. His metrics there are really good. If you allow them to run the ball and then you can play action off of that with those weapons, it's going to be a long day. So we're going to learn some truths about this defense too that we've been pretty high on, but it still feels like we're on the second or third date with somebody. We don't really know who they are, if it's marriage material yet. Like, is this defense going to be marriage material? We're going to learn it this week.
Yeah, and they're checking off the boxes, right? They're doing everything they were asked to do. They allowing 0 points in the first game, only allowing 3 points legitimately in the second game. Like, yeah, it's great. Do it now. If they can keep this team under 20, 24, I mean, that would be incredible. And I would be so excited about the future of this team. It's not even so much about winning or losing this game. It's what we learn about going forward and how this game sets us up for the future, right? Like the Big Ten season starts next week. Maryland's coming to town. Like that's a big game for us. If you look at the rest of our schedule, obviously. So how confident do we feel after this game? We can lose this game and still feel confident about what we're the rest of the season. So that's what I'm really looking for. Number one thing is I just want to feel good after this game. I don't want to come on here and be like, oh my gosh, it was horrific. I don't want that. I just want to be an excited Badger fan that's happy about the product that I'm seeing being put on the field. And I really want that, man. Let's see what happens.
It's been a long time since we've had it. We'll take a quick second. We're going to come back. Underrated storylines, underrated players. I would love to see, I saw some in there already. Put your game score in the chat. I would love to see what the community thinks this game is going to be. That's coming up next, Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at Mazda. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Moving forward, there's more to Mazda. And again, the people we get to work with on the Locked On Podcast Network, incredible. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board, moments that are iconic, moments that you remember for the rest of your lives, the crowds that move culture, that keep the game moving forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, we got to talk about Lance Mason. We got to talk about Lance Mason last week, dominating 102 yards, looking kind of like Jake Ferguson to some degree. That's what we saw in Platteville. We saw that type of variety of catches. I love what he's doing. He is definitely the type of player that's going to continue to move that game forward, just like Mazda. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every single highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved.
The weather's cooling down, Ryan. The days are getting shorter, and that has me wanting to make my home feel cozier. And when it comes to cozifying your space this fall, Wayfair is the place to go. Wayfair has everything you need to set the mood for the season, whether it's comfy recliners, warm bedding, autumn decor, or even an espresso machine, so you can make your favorite latte at home. Listen, I absolutely love Wayfair. We redid our entire living room with Wayfair, and the variety is absolutely insane. And we did blues and grays with our rugs, with our pictures on the wall and everything. Fast delivery, super friendly service, really, really great place to get stuff. And the options, the variety, I feel like there's nothing you can't get at Wayfair, which is exactly what you need. Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates. From comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor, you'll find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home.
Today's episode also brought to you by our new sponsors over at Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. And we all know those local joints that only you know about, only your neighbors know about, certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel home. I mean, take a second right now. This isn't in the ad read, but take a second, think about what's that certain local spot that all you want to do is go there for a beer or coffee or pasta, whatever it is. The local sports bar, coffee shop, whatever it is. For me, it's Bonacasa. Located in Cumberland, Wisconsin, the greatest small town in Wisconsin. I've said that repeatedly. Bonacasa, the chicken and cheese ravioli is absolutely insane. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, we'll see you in the neighborhood. All right, Rajiv, let's talk back into this. I do want to get an interesting comment I saw in here, and then throw your score predictions in the chat as well. This one's from Tyler Streetman. Dude, I love Tyler. TS is the man. He says, I love this. I love you guys in this show, but this conversation is the problem with the 24/7 sports and news cycle. Eventually you talk yourself into something super unlikely, like dropping 7 and rushing 4 versus Bama. First of all, I love Tyler, right? And that's what this community is all about. Like if you see something you disagree with or you think we're off track, throw it in there. As long as people do it respectfully, and Tyler is never done anything but be super respectful and awesome. We'll take any comment or question or thought. I think where I'd maybe push back respectfully just a tiny bit, Tyler, is some of this. Yes, and I hear your point on this. It is a matter of maybe talking ourselves into certain things, but I think certain variables change throughout the week as well. Like I learned more about Bama's offensive tackles. A certain center I feel like is more likely to play for the Badgers this week. The more I looked at what Daniel O'Neal did last week against the Blitz, I think you need to allow yourself freedom for the narrative to change as well. As you talk to more people this week, I've talked to 3 or 4 Bama people, and some of that has changed the way I've looked at the game. And I don't think people should be so rigid in their views and their opinions that they refuse to alter it as more data and you talk to more people come in. You're also not wrong. I am talking myself into the Badgers. So it's a good point. Rajiv, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I saw this comment too. I love Tyler. It was a good comment, and I think it's fair. And it did make me think for a second. And what I would say is like that to me, that's just being a fan. Like I also like it's really you're right, Tyler. Like it's obviously we're talking ourselves into some things, but I honestly am just thinking about what happens if we win. Like I am not saying we're going to. Obviously, I don't think we're going to, but that like the what that would look like would be so great, and we've been so like just like down as a fan base for a few years here, like overall, and something to win about. Like, remember, we still haven't seen the signature win from Luke Fickell. That still hasn't happened, by the way. He doesn't have a signature win on that resume yet. This would be it. Be fun to get it.
Carl says, I want to pick Bucky, but just can't go in Bama 37-13. That's fair too. That's kind of where we were.
That was my original score was 38-13. I totally get that.
Let's talk. I want to go underrated storyline to this game. So you and I have both done keys to the game on our respective shows. I think we've probably done it together. What's an underrated storyline that people aren't talking about with this game?
So it's interesting. Like some people are talking about it, some people are not talking about it. But I think that, with Ryan Williams playing, the cornerback situation is specifically Rico Hallman. Rico Hallman's numbers have not been the greatest. His PFF rating for coverage is in the low 60s. He is certainly not one of the highest rated people. Now, obviously, we saw him get burned last week in that really long play to number 1 for Middle Tennessee. But I definitely feel like we talked about the pass rush. We talked about stopping the run. No matter what happens, as I said kind of earlier, those receivers can absolutely burn us. And Rico Hallman is who we depend on to cover Ryan Williams. Rico Hallman was a player that Alabama wanted in the offseason. They were actually looking. He was on their board of players to try to go get to fill a cornerback spot. And we expect him to have a good game, but really will he? Like, have we seen enough from him this season to feel like he is going to be up to that task? Like we kind of like slotting him in there. Yep, he's going to be that guy. And I just feel like we could be really overselling our defense's ability to stop them just because there's a real opportunity that it goes really, really wrong. And we could get torched. I mean, big time by those guys.
Yeah. Corner. I'm right there with you on corner. And to answer your question, I don't think Rico has shown a ton this season so far. I don't. Even in the first game against Miami of Ohio, I thought he gave up a couple catches underneath that I feel like he could take that away if he wanted to. Now, I don't know what the game call was on that either, right? I don't know what the coaching was on that, but and then he gave up a couple again last week. So I don't know fully what version of Rico we got right now. I think certainly his floor is very high. We know he watches film. We know he's physical. He'll tackle. He's got to play great. Like Rico, Riger, Allegro, your best defensive players have to play great in this game if you have a shot. Let me hit you with my underrated storyline. I told you before the show, I came across something. It surprised me a little bit doing prep and research because you and I have talked about Ryan Williams ad nauseum. I have a Ryan Williams autographed rookie card I'm really excited about because I think he's going to be great. And we saw what he did to Georgia last year. That catch against Georgia, people don't remember or didn't see it. It's one of the most remarkable plays you'll see from a college receiver. And he was a true freshman. He finished with, do you know what he finished with on the season? And I'm not trying to be one of those guys.
No, I don't. I have no idea.
This is what surprised me. 48 catches, 865 yards. He got 170-ish of that against Georgia. That was in week 4. The rest of the season, he didn't have one 100-yard game. Weeks 5 through the end of the season. Surprised me, right? Because you and I both think he's really good. Talking to some Bama folks this week, I was on 3 different Bama podcasts. 2 of them told me there's more hype there than people realize. Week 1 against Florida State, Ryan Williams did not play great, had 3 drops. Now he's coming off a concussion. there is some buzz that outside of a Georgia game against last year, Ryan Williams is a pretty overrated player at this point in college football. Based on the hype, the recruiting pedigree, he's an 800-yard guy. That's Vinny Anthony type production. If you just look at numbers with a better quarterback. So my underrated storyline is maybe he's not as scary as we think he is.
I mean, for me and Ryan Williams, it's very much the eye test. Like, I know that's fair. Like, good. It's a good pull in the numbers, and it is interesting. It's a talking point. I think when I watch him play, when I watch Jeremiah Smith play, same thing when I saw like Devontae Smith play. Like, I feel like they're just different level wide receivers. And when I watch Ryan Williams, the things that he did as a freshman, like, it was insane. Maybe he's in a bit of a sophomore slump, if you will. Maybe he's just like not, having the best time, or maybe it's teams keying in on him and bracketing him and double teaming him. Maybe it's the fact that Jalen Milroe, I don't really think was a top quarterback as far as ability. Like, I don't know. The eye test for me says Ryan Williams is a really, really, really great player, a generational talent at wide receiver. Whether that comes to fruition, fair enough. But he's still scary to me. And just because when I watch him, like, it's tough, man. He looks like and we didn't play well against him last year, But
that was early in the year. After that Georgia game, he didn't do much. It's just interesting.
I think teams probably defended him differently, which does make a difference.
Maybe, but teams would have defended Jeremiah Smith differently as well. And he finished with 1,300, 1,400 yards, whatever, right? Like,
there's also a plethora of talent at Alabama that doesn't
fair.
exist everywhere, right? Like, they're surrounded. I mean, multiple people in that wide receiver room are going to play in the NFL.
Dylan, no touchdowns for Ryan since week 4 last year. And Hoover said didn't look great at the end of the year. Yeah, I mean, I was on record as saying he should sit out for another week. Like, I care about this young man's health and his future. So it's going to be interesting. That's why it's an underrated storyline. Let me go into underrated players. Some player that maybe we're not talking about enough. I actually had 2, but I'm going to just lead off with Vakos. We haven't seen Vakos make a pressure kick this year. He hasn't had to. He in fact, Luke Fickell almost seems determined to go for it on 4th down whenever he can. So if it comes down to a tight game, and we're both maybe saying it could, right? Obviously, Bama's really hard. Maybe it won't, but he might need to make a tough kick in the second quarter from 43 yards in Bryant Denny with the crowd. How confident are you that kick goes between the uprights?
I feel like what I've seen of him this year has been fine so far, and he looks like he's improved a little bit, maybe taking a bit of a step. I don't really know much about steps of kickers and whether that's a thing or not, but I have confidence in Vakos. I feel like he's looked pretty good out there, and he's got several years under his belt playing college football, and, for sure. Mine, actually, right along the same lines, and I also had 2, is Atticus Bertram's, oddly enough.
Look at us nerds.
Because I feel like we haven't really seen the best of Atticus Bertram's yet at all this year. And remember last year, there was a point where he was like just such a crazy weapon for us, especially in the Penn State game with that awesome fake, but also just his ability to put the ball deep with a strong level of consistency. I love Atticus Bertram's, and I think he's due for a really big game. And if we're talking about having a defensive battle like we hope we see tomorrow, field position is really going to matter. And if we can start, our pass rush and we can stop the run, like everything we can do to push them down the field, I think I want to see what Atticus Bertram's could do. So, and we just haven't seen it yet. And I think he's kind of due for like a nice breakout game.
I think it's a really good one. I think field position is incredibly important in this game. Pavel says, when will these ad reads end? 13 minutes ago, Pavel. They were done 13 minutes ago. I don't know. We're not doing ad reads right now. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, sorry. Sometimes I just have to poke some fun. Here's my other one, because I had 2, and it's almost kind of a cop-out answer. My other one is the opposite receiver to Vinny. Whether that's Brooks, whether that's Ballard, whether that's Eugene Hilton, you just need somebody else to get off coverage and be open for Danny O'Neal. Like, Danny O'Neal, I think you and I were both very impressed with what happened week 2. Whether we think he could be the guy or not, he's not a guy at this stage of his career where he's going to throw people open against Bama. He needs guys to create separation. I think Vinny can actually do that. I really think Vinny, not every time, Vinny's going to lose some one-on-ones, but I think Vinny can win some one-on-ones this weekend against Bama. Can another receiver do it? And I think Brooks is really going to struggle in this game to do that. But could Hilton, could Ballard? I think it's a big key to this game. Danny has to have a couple open throws, and that doesn't happen if people don't create separation.
We did not share with these ahead of time, and mine is Jaden Ballard. And I pulled up the stats early before the show started, and he's one of 3 guys that have caught 100 yards of receiving this season. And I feel like right before the season started, we were like, "Ooh, Ballard felt well, he wasn't listed as the wide receiver on the depth chart. Chris Brooks is on the depth chart. Was wide receiver 1 next to Vinny. And we noticed that right away. We're like, ooh, I don't know. Is he not going to have a big impact? He already has 5 catches, already has 100 yards. And, absolutely. I agree. I feel like we're focused on that. And after last week, we're focused on Mason and how impactful he's going to be, which is great. And I've said from now a couple of weeks, the catch distribution has been very impressive on this team so far. And I hope it stays that way. And Jaden Ballard's a really big part of that. So yeah, I put Ballard and Bertram's. That's so funny that we had a receiver and a special teamer.
Let's see if we keep on the same pace. I wrote a name down. I didn't purposely shotgun you with this. I forgot to actually ask you who leads the team in receiving yardage this week.
I think Lance Mason does, just because I feel like I trust I think Danny O'Neal clearly just there's a thing going on with them right now. I feel like there's a nice chemistry. I'm not saying I recognize it was 1 game, but tight end is a really hard position to cover just in general. And if you've got standout corners, they can sometimes deal with your outside guys. And, maybe it's stretch, but I trust the big tight end because tight ends are really hard to cover. And he looks to be like a pretty impressive receiving tight end.
Yeah. Once again, we clean sweep, Rajiv. I think Mason does as well. I just think part of Bama's weakness the last 2 years defensively has been the linebackers getting lit out of space. And that's going to open up some stuff for Mason potentially. So, Rajiv, any last thoughts? This already went a little longer than I anticipated. I did have a couple people ask me about some housekeeping. I did have a couple people ask, are you going to be doing a call-in show today? I initially intended to, and then I spent the whole day chipping wood and my voice talking over the chipper. Honestly, we should have, because this ended up being a 30-minute show anyway, and I was planning for like 20. So I apologize we didn't do it this week. It will come back next week, but I just didn't have the vocal energy to do that. Anything else, Rajiv? Game tomorrow. Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some comments in there about like the negative talk and negative energy. I hear that. I actually feel like we both moved a lot more in the positive direction today, and I just think as the game gets closer, that's going to happen. And listen, when kickoff happens tomorrow, absolutely. Like, I really want to come on this show tomorrow after the game and to have one of the best reactions we've ever had. And it's going to be tough, but heck yeah, man. I hear it. And I am a positive fan, but when it comes to this offensive line, it's scarred me a bit. And I just feel like Alabama's a good team, and I'm worried about that. I'm really worried about that. But the defense has really, really impressed me. And frankly, as I've said many times, every unit on this team has impressed me except one. But it's a really important one, and it really needs to go right. But if the defense can do what they do, as you say, learn about what they really are, could be a special day, man. I do believe.
That's well said. Big moment for Danny O'Neal. Certainly a guy I'm going to be watching very closely, as all Badger fans are. I think this is a chance for him to maybe, if he plays well, potentially even start to cement himself as that guy going forward. It's going to be hard it'll be really hard if it does happen, Rajiv, to discount playing well in Brian Denny for a sophomore quarterback. So that's going to be a big spot for him. And then just want to say thank you again to everybody else that's part of this community. It is super humbling. Obviously, you and I both fans of this team for a long time. To be able to come on here and share this platform with people is incredible. And it's really like almost a dream to me to be able to do this kind of thing. I had somebody from my childhood and in high school, and he's like, dude, you get to talk over the Badgers. That's all you did in high school. That's why you almost failed high school. Like, so to be able to do this, it's awesome. So thank you to everybody that's been part of this journey. And it'll be the best reaction show ever if we beat Bam. I promise y'all that. We'll be drinking something. It'll be incredible.
And on that note, just talking about thanking everybody. I know you've said it before, but the Iowa game, for those that are going to be around for that game, we're going to be up there for the Iowa game. That's kind of our locked on meetup, and Justin's going to be up there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're in town, let us know, hit us up, message one of us. We'll definitely have a place where we, meet up for drinks like we always do. And it's so much fun to talk Badgers with all of you who listen to us and come on the show and comment. It's awesome. And even the people that disagree with us, we love that even more. So it's good
Disagreements are incredible. It's one of the things that makes this community amazing is we can discuss different things and we don't get salty with each other. That is always welcome on this show in this community. Rajiv, thank you for jumping on. I took 9 minutes more of your time than I said I would, but I appreciate you as always, my friend. Oh, really quick. Gosh, I can't ever get off these shows. Go check out what Rajiv is doing. Please take a second. man, talk about the new channel. I know people know about the bet show that you have, but talk about like the new channel launch. What's up with that?
Yeah, so Saturday Locks was a show that I was doing inside of the Bucky Report the first 2 weeks of the season. I pulled it out. It's on its own YouTube and podcast channel, so just look up Saturday Locks. And yeah, I do 4 picks a week. I'm 7-1 through the first 2 weeks against the spread. Those aren't money line picks; those are against the spread. So really been good. I think I might lose one that's going on right now. But we'll see. Had UCLA tonight. But yeah, like it's been a lot of fun. So go check out Saturday Locks. But anything, and if there's anything like specific you want to talk about on there, games that you want to talk about, like I'm going to do some live shows as well on Friday nights. So yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely love it. Sean, yep. I love the Wisconsin goodbyes. They take forever. That's because we love everybody in this community. On Wisconsin, we'll definitely talk tomorrow. Hopefully with a good reaction show. Can't wait.